Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode on US LLM tips. I have a wonderful person today on our channel. Here is Ogechi, and we'll be talking about some interesting things. So please, I hope you stay tuned. Ogechi, if you want to say hi, please just
Hello,
say
everyone.
but today we'll be really talking about Ogechi's journey from an LLM here in the US to a JD and why she made that decision, right? So we'll just be jumping right into it. I want you, while you're watching this episode, to really think about your decisions. If you're outside the US, I've done an episode before where I talked about a JD or an LLM. What is your best decision, right? I've talked about the pros and the cons, but now we have somebody who is going to give us that information practically because she has done the two, right? So as opposed to me who was just giving you a lot of theoretical information, she has done the two and she can tell you, oh, this makes the most sense based on information that she has, or this doesn't make the most sense. Anyway, let's just jump right into it. Thank you so much, Ogechi, for doing this. We really appreciate you. Before we go ahead with the rest of the episode, I want to specially thank Themis Bar Prep for sponsoring this episode. As you folks know, I used Themis Bar to pass the exam, the New York Bar exam, and I passed with over 300 points, which is no small feat. I believe Themis Bar is really helpful, especially the LLM Advantage, because it is geared and tailored to international lawyers. So please consider Themis Bar for all your bar needs today. My first question is this, and I feel like this is what is on everybody's mind. Why did you pursue a JD after your LLM program? What caused you to do that?
I know a lot of people will be wondering why I did that. And I would say, Gemma, that the first reason why I chose to do the JD program was because I was convinced about it. Initially, the major challenge initially before I undertook the JD program was getting a job. But before I decided to go on with the JD program, I already got a job, and they were also willing to file for me. But I'd spoken with people who had done the program before. I know I spoke with you at one point, and that was me trying to weigh my options. I was trying to know which route is better for me as Oge, and this is in addition to my ambition, my long-term goals in the US, and being someone who is very fearful sometimes. I was also scared of a situation where I would lose an opportunity because I did not have a JD, and I just wanted to fill up the gaps and avoid any situations that were around me being denied certain positions because of a JD program, because of a JD degree, sorry. So yeah, I think for me that's just because of that conviction, and I had people who had done it. I had friends who shared same goals with me, and we're all willing to undertake the program together. And I'm very happy we did, because yeah, with them it was easy to navigate the process even when it was quite difficult. So yes, I would say it's, in summary, just a conviction. The conviction I had that was the route I wanted to follow, and because of my long-term goals in the US, I decided to go through that route. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a fair answer. So I guess if you can just tell us about a bit about your JD program, right? So, feel free to share as much information as you want to share about the JD program. But things I think people would like to know is: did you do your JD in the same school that you did your LLM? What was the application process like? And what was required? If you can take us through that, and then as I get more questions, I'll ask you that. Before we go ahead, just wanted to remind you to subscribe, like, comment. That's how this channel gets shared. That's how people know about the work that I'm doing. And if you know this channel has supported you through your journey, please, the simple thing you can do is do us a favor by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you so much, and let's jump back into the video.
Okay. I didn't do my JD I didn't do my JD where I did my LLM.
Okay.
I did my LLM at the University of Illinois, and I got to know about the University of Iowa because I had senior colleagues who came here after they finished their LLM program, and they had great things to say about the school. And they also had opportunities they also provided other opportunities to reduce your tuition, which was a good one. It had like a reduced tuition fee compared to other schools that had the Advanced JD program, which I undertook. So initially, for when you're applying, you have to go through the Law School Admission Council. That's LSAC. For those who are applying for LLM, they could actually apply directly to the university, or I actually used LSAC. So I already knew about LSAC when the school required you to, when the school where you're going for your JD program requires you to do an extra. So I just went through that route. You just need to submit your letter of recommendation, your personal statements, your transcript from the various degrees you've been able to attain, inclusive of your LLM program as well. And after that, for University of Iowa, you would be interviewed, like a proper interview.
Really?
Just yeah,
Really? Despite the fact that you've done your LLM, you will
yeah,
still be
yeah.
interviewed.
You'll be interviewed, and they just want to know you. They want to know why you chose the school. They want to know things what's different about your experience as a foreign attorney, and why are you doing a JD after an LLM? Just basic questions, just get to know you and know if you're someone they want to be part of the school. You get. So after that, they send you your decision. They send their decision to you after some time, and that is it. That's basically it. Just I think the difference is for those who are going through LLM, you can apply directly, but for those who want to go who want to apply for the JD program, you have to go through LSAT. And I know people would wonder if you need to take the LSAT. That's the LSAT exam. For advanced JD program, for my school, you don't need the LSAT.
Okay.
It's sufficient you're a foreign trade attorney, and you could also apply as an advanced JD student. What this means is that you don't have to do the traditional 3-year JD. The school will give you an opportunity to do a 2-year JD, but it's going to be compressed. So while a traditional JD student may be doing maybe 3 courses in a semester, you may be doing like 5 courses or 6, because you're trying to meet with all the requirements within 2 years. You get. So that's the difference. But you are also not prevented from doing the LSAT. And why some people decide to take it sometimes is maybe because of funding. Some schools, if you have like a very high LSAT score, maybe from 170-ish or so, I'm not sure, you may be considered for scholarships, because there are those in the 3-year program who have full rights. So you can take that into consideration. And because not many schools have the advanced JD program, you also don't want to miss an opportunity with a school that requires LSAT. You get. So if you miss out on that opportunity, you can say, okay, I have my LSAT and I can do the 3-year JD, or I have my LSAT and I'll do it with a school that requires LSAT, but I'll do an advanced JD program. You get. So that's that. I think that's what some people consider, and they decide to undertake the LSAT examination. But I didn't take that. And the good thing about the University of Iowa is that you have an opportunity to apply for research assistant position, which reduces your tuition.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so your tuition is reduced. And I know people may be bothered about the cost of the JD program, which is a very important factor.
It's a very, that is a big one.
Yes. That's a very big factor, because, but I can't say the specific amount you will pay, because thankfully these schools they have this easily accessible on their website. But why I say this is because it differs with different students. There are students who have full rights, and they're your classmates. There are those who have reduced tuition, and there are those who have gotten scholarship from maybe law firms or various diversity scholarship, which just reduces the tuition, and you end up paying as much as what an LLM student is paying, or even less.
Yes.
And there are those who are not fortunate, and you have to pay the full sum. But one thing is certain for those who are attending like maybe a school like University of Iowa, you definitely have a reduced tuition, because you apply for research assistant position. You get to work with the professor, you do lots of research with the professor, but it's going to be tedious because you're doing that with your classwork, but you are sure that your tuition is reduced, you get. So, but I would advise anyone who wants to do the JD to just check the website, get to know the amount you're required to pay for each semester, and check if the schools have availability for maybe TA, because there are those who have TA and they have like full ride. There are those who get RAs and research assistant position, and they get like maybe slashed tuition, maybe by half, you get. So these are things you need to also consider when making a decision to in choosing a particular school for your JD program. And what else? I think I wanted to state something. You also mentioned I don't know if you want me to talk about like the differences between the JD program and the LLM. Is that part of the
Yeah,
question?
we could ask that very soon, right?
Okay.
That's coming up very soon. But even before that, I want to ask for to get into this advanced JD, do I need an LLM? Or what if I was applying straight from outside the US and I want to go straight into the advanced JD? So I guess I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
what are the requirements for me to actually get into this advanced JD
Okay.
straight from my country, or is an LLM required?
You don't need an LLM.
Oh,
In
okay.
fact, if the school wants to transfer some credits from your university, they don't even consider your LLM. I don't know. They really don't rate your LLM grades. They
Interesting.
value, they value your undergrad grades, your LLB grades. They could actually take maybe if you've done like con law, but that doesn't mean you won't do con law in your JD. But they may just transfer some units from that program. But they don't even consider your LLM in any way. Like for them, it's not even a consideration. They just want to know you a foreign trained attorney, and after that, you just have to show that you're experienced. So that's I know there are people who applied straight from Nigeria and they got admission.
That's
Yes.
good to know.
Yeah. The only fear most people have is once they apply for a JD, the fear of getting their visas and all of those things. Like I don't know. I think people have difficulty with that. So, but I don't think the schools consider your LLM. It's
That's
not
good to
a
know.
requirement. It's just they just want you to show that you are a foreign trained attorney, and they will just accept your grades from your undergrad. You can now send your LLM grades if you want to, and that's if you've indicated that you did an LLM. So just confirm that you actually did that. So you have to show your transcripts. But if they want to transfer grades, they just use your undergrad grades.
Okay, I think that's a good one. So let me ask you one more question.
Okay.
You said the advanced JD, which is what you did, is 2 years, as opposed to the ordinary JD, which is 3 years.
Yeah.
Are you going to be taking the same classes as the ordinary JD students, or because of the credits that were transferred to you, there are some classes you won't need to take again?
I was thinking that would be the case, like I mentioned. Like I mentioned, because I was wondering, you guys transferred credits from con law evidence. Okay, but they are they are required classes you must take, whether or not you did that in your home country. Courses like con law, criminal law, you must take these courses. Evidence is not really a requirement. If you want to, that's fine. You get. But even with the fact that they transferred credit from your undergrad, you still need to take some compulsory classes. And you will do your 1L classes with the 1Ls. Though you are technically considered a 2L student. Yes, but you still need to take all the required 1L courses. And that's why you may end up doing more courses than a traditional JD student. And by the time you're done with doing all the required 1L courses, you start considering the required courses, maybe your writing units and your experiential, which can be a lot as well. And you have to put that into consideration with the total credit hours you need to graduate with. So because of these requirements, you have to take more classes than a traditional JD student.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So it looks like the advanced JD, even though it's advanced, is slightly more stressful.
It's calm.
She's in this scam. That's so funny.
The only good thing, you're doing it for 2 years, but it is just stressful because in my final year, my final semester, I had 3-year JD students who were in their final year and they're doing just one course, and I was doing 5.
Jesus.
Yes, I was doing 5, and it felt unfair because you're going to write exam with these people who had enough time to prepare for this exam, and you're competing with them.
But you're
So
right.
it's So the only good thing is that you're doing it for 2 years, but it is really stressful.
Okay. So let me go to the question of, okay, so you did an LLM and now you did an advanced JD. What are the differences? The way you're shaking your head, even me, I'm shaking. That's so funny. He enter.
He enter. The difference wide.
Okay.
Well, I would say the first difference for me was the grading style.
That's what I want us to really talk about, because that's where I see people struggle too.
Yeah, the grading style is My goodness, the grading style is crazy because it is not enough that you are for JD. It is not enough that you've answered the question. For an LLM, that is my experience. They call it the curve.
Yes, grading on the
By the
curve.
curve, on the curve. Yes, grading on the curve. So I don't know if some LLM student experienced that, but I know there are people who did during their LLM. Maybe those who went to Duke. I don't know,
I
but
never did. I was
I
so
did not
grateful to
either. My
God
sister,
that I never did.
I did not. So when they want to grade you, it's not enough that you answer the question. In fact, your professor will say, "Oh, you answered my question, but it was not enough." You are graded based on the overall performance of the class. In answering your question, unlike your undergrad and your LLM, when you know the law and you just
Apply.
write on this based on what the law is and just articulate your thoughts in that line. For the JD program, it is not enough that you know the law and you know whether the client is guilty or not guilty. It's not enough. You have to think outside the box to be able to get like close to an A. You have to articulate your thoughts in such a way that you're thinking about what the opposing party is thinking, and you have to write that down. You have to do your analysis by including policy arguments as well. So, but the difficult thing, I don't think it's difficult to think both sides when you have a take-home exam.
But when it's a
But when
time
it's
exam,
yes, you have to start thinking, and you have 3 hours. And for some of us who are coming from Nigeria, we didn't use system laptop
yeah,
to type when we're in
yeah.
class, so you're not so fast with your typing. And if you're also not opportunity to be in a school that gives you access to writing, you also have to type with the students.
That are
So
always
yes, so you have to
yes,
type, you have to be fast with your typing. Okay, you know what the law is, you're putting that down, you have to make use of critical analysis, critical thinking analysis and all of those things. So you're bringing in the law, you're putting your analysis, you're going to say on the other hand, this is what the opponent is going to say, but this is how you're going to answer this question. However, this is what the court has done over time, and that is when you start using like the dissenting arguments of cases that you've read. You bring in policies and maybe what's happening currently. You try to articulate that in such a way that the professor is saying more than what he has told you in class. You're putting more than what the law is saying already, and that gives you a better edge than every other student in the class. And this is something that most of us don't know. And even if we know this, you don't have the time to type this information because you're not a fast typer.
Wow.
So that's the only issue with the grading style, because I know my experience with the LLM. I just put in what I know and I just analyze this based on the IRAC process we know about, and that was just enough for you to get a good A, a good
So you
result.
said something though. You said something. You said you're graded based on the overall performance of the class.
Yes.
Right? Does that mean if everybody passed, you will pass? And if everybody failed, you fail? What does that really mean? Or even if
That
I passed, if everybody failed, I will still fail with them. What does that mean?
That means even if I've done all of this since I just told you about, and for instance, the both of us are in the same class, the professor looks at what you've done. He's like, okay, Ogi has answered the question properly. Ijoma has answered the question properly, but Ijoma did well in her analysis. So Ijoma will have A plus. Ogi goes down to A minus. If Ogi has written better than the other person, even if the person did well, the person is going to a B plus. So the both of you are all right, but the professor is now gauging
Looking
your
for who is writer.
exactly whose work is very interesting. I've been in a situation where we had a class where the professor had to bring in a student's work. The student, in answering her question, typed 22 pages. And I was wondering, at what point did you type all of this information? There are those, because you have to do like in the US, you have to do like undergrad then before you do a JD. And if you're fortunate, the question is surrounding maybe science. They bring in their engineering information. They bring in their. You don't have that. You only know law.
All you know is law.
It's only law you know. So the professor is looking at this, and there are those that you read their answers, and you're like, even yourself, you give them better grade. you give them a better grade. So why we are angry about how this works, but it's just how they've tailored this. and that is the way they continue to curve this, and you will see yourself going down the curve, because even when you meet the professor, oh, you answered my question right, but someone wrote better than you did, so you have to go down the curve. And there's a percentage of A's that is required. They can't put everybody there. They have to put you somewhere.
It's like somebody has to go down.
Just place, not you. But you pray that a lot of people don't do well, so that they are a little bit the curve wouldn't be so bad.
Look at
but
that.
If people,
this is the type of prayer you have to pray.
It's unfair, but you just have to pray that people don't do well, so that you're not below, like you don't fall below that curve, especially when you have an expectation to, especially for us that are doing advanced JD, you have just 2 years to remedy yourself, so you don't have enough time like a 3-year JD student to like have a very good grade. So at the start of the program, you have to have a good grade. So yes,
you've provided very good information about that, because that's something I've always been very confused about, and I've never really spoken about, because I was not sure about what.
Yeah, even for us, we are not totally clear with how it works, but this is basically the information we have as to how they do this, and it makes sense, because if you meet them, they just tell you did well, but someone wrote better than you did, and they have a way they curve it, and that's also with the restriction they have as to the number of A's and B's that they should have at every semester.